What's up, Duval? It's your favorite Jag, Bucky Brooks, and this is Bleav in Jaguars, podcast dedicated to our favorite team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are, I guess, a few days away from week one, game one. The Jacksonville Jaguars kicking off the season against the Miami Dolphins down there in South Florida to kick off the 2024 campaign. I think all of us are excited about what this team has the potential to accomplish. I think we're excited about what we saw over the course of training camp in the preseason, but the regular season is a different animal. And so what I want to talk about today is just how the Jaguars are gearing up for that first game, what is different now that training camp is done. We'll talk about the captains on the team and just some general thoughts as we head into the final part of the week when it comes to the preparations. Before we have that discussion, let's pay off our sponsor. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our 200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance to win weekly prizes or share at the $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here. So, guys, I mean, we've talked about that tagline forever whenever we do that sponsorship read, talking about the game starts here. And the games do start here. It starts this weekend. Jacksonville taking on the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are a team that many view as a title contender. Offensively, they're super explosive. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. You think about the track team that they have on the perimeter and in the backfield where Raheem Mostert, David A-Chain, got a young kid, Jalen Wright, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who just signed a big deal. One of the best in the biz when it comes to completion percentage and efficiency. This is a big task and a challenge for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Defensively, they got some notable names that are returning from injury. But look, this is one that is anchored by a former Jaguar, Jalen Ramsey, and a couple other really, really good players in the back end, including Javon Holland. But before we even talk about the other team, we're going to stick to the theme that has been part of what the Jaguars have done. It's about us. It's about our team. It's about our team's ability to prepare for the weekend and to kind of make the necessary adjustments to handle whatever this team sees from the Miami Dolphins. When we talk about the team, I think it's important that this year's team is, in my mind, vastly different from last year, even though most of the pieces are the same. And I would say part of it is because of the direction and the leadership of the guys at the top. And so when we think about the top, we're talking about Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson, how they've set the course for how this team is going to go about their business this year. And a big part of what they want to do centers from Doug Peterson kind of uttering those words, change and development. And he uttered those words in a production meeting where he talked about, look, man, I wanted to change the way that we did business, to change the way that we go about things this season. And I want to make sure that developing every player on the roster to give ourselves a chance to play those young players late in the season when injuries mount and you have to kind of throw them in. We want them to be ready. When Doug talks about change and changing doing business, just to recap, he wanted to have a very tough, a very physical, a very demanding training camp. He wants to make sure that this team hits the ground running when the season starts. And some of that might be due to what owner Shad Khan has kind of put out there for public consumption. If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen the clip on The Hunt. That is the kind of episodic documentary that the Jaguars do on their team where they kind of give everyone a peek behind the curtain. Shad Khan met with the team, and Shad Khan talked about, like, very boldly and frankly, that this is a team, the best team that the Jaguars have ever assembled. They have the best coaching staff that they've ever assembled, and that the expectation is that this team is going to win, and they're going to win big right away. And even though I'm paraphrasing the quote a little bit, you get the general gist. The owner expects this team to play at a high level. The owner feels like he has emptied the bucket to make sure that this team, these players, have everything that they need from a world-class premier training and practice facility at Miller Electric Center to upgrading the stadium, which will take place in a couple of years, and make sure all those things are taken care of, to paying big bucks to retain the services of some of the marquee players that are core players that have been drafted and developed in Jacksonville, to making sure you got a Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson to lead the way. And let's be honest, making sure that Trent Baalke had an opportunity to build the team based on his previous history and experience building a Super Bowl participant in the San Francisco 49ers. In the owner's mind, look, man, he's done everything that he could possibly do as an owner to create an environment that will produce a winning team and a team that wins at a high level. So to go back to what Doug has said, talk about change and development, change in terms of changing the way they do business. Look, they want to make sure that the Jags are doing business the right way. In the past, there were a lot of guys that came, put on the uniform, and then they dipped out at the end of their contract. Well, Shad Khan is making sure that the core players are staying, and they're going to stay for a long time. And when I mean core players, I think it's really important that everyone understands what the team views as a core player. So it's not just a good player, but it's a player that reflects the values that the team wants to have on and off the field. So we talk about good character, good football dudes, good dudes in the community, guys that are smart, instinctive, and tough, and do a really good job of kind of keeping their egos in check, because the team is more important than their own individual success and accolades. All of those things matter. And the actions match the words when you look at the things that have taken place over the course of the offseason. Like we've seen Trevor Lawrence get paid. We saw Josh Hines Allen get a big payday. We saw Tyson Campbell get his big payday. We have seen others in the last year or so, Evan Ingram, get paid. We know that Christian Kirk is going to be due for a contract sweetener in the coming year or so. So the team has been very intentional about who they paid, why they paid, and why they've kind of considered these guys as their nucleus for the next 3 to 5 years. I will say this from the outside looking in. Good players with good character is a big part of what the Jaguars want to be. When I look at this team, I made the joke, and I've kind of compared them to, look, man, kind of like a private school, high school team, in terms of like just, man, really smart guys that go about their business doing it the right way. Guys that, when you lay down at night, you feel good that you can wake up in the morning without any scandals surrounding your top players. Guys that are going to meet you or beat you to the facility in the morning because they love ball, they want to work. And guys are going to hold their teammates accountable. As we look at this offseason and as we think and reflect upon all the conversations that we've heard from several of the Jaguars players and coaches, yeah, there's a different feel and vibe to this team. I'll say they've upped the ante when it comes to the professionalism, the preparation, the commitment to the process, the attention to detail. All those things look significantly changed over the course of the year. Some of that happens when you lose games and you lose in embarrassing fashion to close the year. But other part of that is Doug Peterson wanted to put his stamp on this team in terms of what he wants this team to be, how he wants this team to perform, how he wants them to represent the team on and off the field, all of that stuff. And you're seeing it, and we've seen it in preseason games. And the thing that you look for as an observer when you hear coaches or team builders talk, do the actions match the words? So if you talk about wanting to be a physical team, a team that kind of dominates the line of scrimmage, well, do the actions match the words when it comes to it? Have you upgraded the offensive and defensive lines? Have you put together a practice structure that allows us to see which players can dominate with force or finesse? Because it's a very contentious and physical training camp and set of practices where we can not only evaluate who should be on the team, but we can evaluate the returners to see where they're at in terms of like their performance in play. So I love all of those things. And so when Doug talks about, hey, I needed to change, yes, they definitely need to change, because the way that it was going last year, that was not working. I think some of the change has also come from the people that he's entrusted in leadership roles on the coaching staff. Ryan Nielsen being one, Chris Richard being another, but there are more. I mean, there are guys up and down the staff roster that have really taken on significant responsibilities, and it's going to reflect in better play. It's going to reflect in more consistent performance from the team because they want to do things the right way. And they have a coaching staff that not only wants it done the right way, but they understand how to teach it first to make sure that it's done the right way. And they're not afraid to bark a little bit to make sure that it's done to that level every day, every time out. And it doesn't mean that those conversations have to be contentious or acrimonious, but they have to be had because the job of the coach is to be the truth teller. When I look at the team in practice, you can tell what has been emphasized and stressed. They're running to the ball like madmen on defense. They're really playing, I would say, with better technique and better focus on defense. When I look at the DBs and the linebackers, there's clear intent in what they're doing on every play, and is drilled over and over in endo, then in small groups, and then you see how it plays out in big groups when they go 11 on 11. All those things are common traits of teams that are championship caliber teams. It also is a reflection of the coaching and who's in charge and what they're trying to get done. And Doug Peterson has probably taken, I would say, more ownership in terms of what he demands from the team and how he expects them to perform and how he's going to hold them accountable for either meeting or failing to meet those standards. And so really like that part of it. From a personnel standpoint and the way that the team looks over the course of 3 preseason games and now that they finalized the roster, I will say looking at the team, the strength of the team continues to be, I would say, the offense, but the balanced nature of the offense, meaning no singular star player is going to carry or determine whether this team wins or loses, but it's going to be the collective as opposed to the individual. And what I mean by collective is the running back by committee situation. When you have Travis Etienne and what appears to be a role that you're developing for Tank Bigsby, where you can share some of the load and not make it where it's all about Travis, even though he's one of only 2 running backs to go over 1,400 scrimmage yards the last 2 years, him and Christian McCaffrey. You just want to make sure that he's rolling, continue to play at a high level. And you do that by backstopping them with a guy like Tank Bigsby, who can do some of the dirty work between the tackles, who could be maybe the 4th, 3rd down and short yardage back, the guy that kind of plays a big role in the 4-minute offense. You can do some of those things because the pieces really fit well in the puzzle. When you look outside and you look at the wide receivers, man, the puzzle pieces are perfectly aligned and they match up to make what I would say a masterpiece. You have Christian Kirk dominating the slot alongside Evan Ingram, who also dominates the slot in underneath areas. You have Gabe Davis, who's a vertical playmaker, BTJ, who's a vertical playmaker. All of those things are terrific, and all of those things will have a huge impact on the quarterback 16 because he's a distributor. He's a pass-first point guard who is at his best when he can just deal and distribute and kind of operate like the blackjack dealer at the casino table, where he's just shuffling the cards out, giving them to the players, giving them where they need it so they can go and do their thing. That's now what you have offensively around Trevor Lawrence. Offensive line is a question mark, and the reason why the offensive line is a question mark is because you don't know what you're going to get from a couple guys. So you got Cam Robinson, who is doing his thing when he's available and he plays. Man, he plays at a high level, but he's been in and out the lineup the last year. So you want to see, can he come back healthy? Can he play at a high level and be the guy that everyone wants him to be as a franchise caliber tackle? You have Brandon Scherff, who's coming off of a series of injuries that kind of impacted his ability to practice, didn't perform as well because he couldn't practice. Those things are an issue. Ezra Cleveland was a bright spot, but you didn't get him to near the end of last season. And it's really been good, been as advertised, just done a really good job of holding his own and being in there. So you want to kind of keep him together. On the outside, on the other side, you talk about Anton Harrison and how he settles in as a second-year starter and a guy who's, immensely talented, super talented, as easy as it comes for someone on the edges. He can do that, even though I would peg him and say, look, he's really a right tackle, but he can move to the left spot if you need to. And some of that will be dependent upon not only Cam Robinson play, but what do we have to do with Walker Little? He's kind of the best there never was, but there's a lot of hype and intrigue about him. Can he be what some people want him to be, which is a starting player in the league? So you look at that. So offensively, man, everything is in place. We can talk about some of the questions on the offensive line, but they're so good on the perimeter, they should be able to overcome some of those things. Defensively is where I'm super excited. And I get excited about defense. Obviously, I haven't played defensive back for a long time, the majority of my pro career. I always get excited to see how this defense is going to perform. Love the marriage of Ryan Nielsen and the players that are expected to thrive in this scheme. Nielsen comes, to me, he's one of the best teachers I've been around. I've been around a lot of them. And the reason why I say that is because his communication is on point. He's very black or white when it comes to the things that he discusses. He doesn't leave a lot of gray area or things that are subject to interpretation. Love it. Make it very simple and clear. You can do this, not that. It's what it is. This is how we're playing it. This is what we're doing. Yeah, we get feedback from everyone else, but this is how we're playing it, and we can go about it, we're going to execute it, and we're going to do what we do without changing, without making radical things. We're going to line up and play. And the way that they want to play is they want to play fast, they want to be free, they want to be aggressive, but they want to be aggressive without doing complex stuff. To do that, you have to have talent. Up front, there's certainly talent. Excited to see what Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen do together. Last year, 27 and a half sacks. Crushed people off the edge, but they played most of the game. And I give them credit for their energy and stamina, not necessarily waving the white flag and having someone else come in. But this year, got to get them some people behind them that can help. Eric Armstead being listed at defensive end is significant because that means somebody has to move inside. And that somebody might be Trayvon Walker moving inside, whether it's in nickel situations, whether it's in base. He has the length, he has the size. He has what I call the nastiness to be able to be effective in there. So, yeah, like I like that front line. If you're talking about Hines-Allen, you talk about Trayvon Walker, and then Eric Armstead being able to man that interior. It doesn't matter who you put beside those guys, Devin Hamilton or Ray Robertson Harris. Doesn't matter. Those guys are going to eat. But the big three, yeah, the big three is real. Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines-Allen, and then Eric Armstead. They're healthy and available. Teams are going to have a tough time matching up with that. Second level, Foye Oluokun, Devin Lloyd kind of flipping roles in terms of Mike, Will, but they say this is a very fluid defense, so you can see them play anywhere. We'll see what it looks like when it gets down to it. But you like Oluokun being able to be kind of the space guy. You like Devin Lloyd bulking up, being able to command the box. What you would love to see from Devin Lloyd is the instincts kick in where he's able to make play after play like he did at Utah. If he's able to do that, man, you're going to love it because it's going to upgrade and fortify a pass rush that, could struggle a little bit maybe if, Walker and Allen not able to consistently win their one-on-ones. So I like Foye being able to kind of do some different things. I like Devin Lloyd being able to do some things, include blitz off the edge. So keep an eye on those guys playing a big role in what this team elects to do when it comes to the pass rush. In the secondary, I'm telling you right now, the secondary has some star power that is unrealized star power. First guy I'm going to talk about that I expect to be a star in this system is Andre Cisco, right in the middle of the defense as a safety. Instincts, awareness, intelligence, range, has a knack for being around the ball. We've seen it, 7 interceptions in 2 years playing. He can get more than that because one thing that we know, Nielsen and Chris Richard are going to set some traps where this defense baits quarterbacks into ill-advised throws. He's going to be right there. He just has to catch it. He catches it, he's going to be a hero. He's going to be an all-star. He'll thank us for pushing him and promoting him and making him an all-pro player because this dude has the talents to be able to get some of that done in this scheme. Tyson Campbell, who just signed that big payday. I mean, the big payday. He now is comfortable and entrenched as a right corner. Now, when you pay Tyson Campbell the kind of money that you paid him, you do wonder, will he shadow? Will he travel a little bit? Will they do some different things in certain situations where they move him to left corner to make him go against the quarterback strong side? Or do they want him completely to blot out whoever the number one receiver is to their side? That'd be something to watch. Ron Darby, veteran, bringing savvy, experience, wisdom, winning pedigree, all this stuff. You love that. Very competitive and feisty. The guys will feed off of that. He's going to be in the mix. And then you just kind of have a few different people that are kind of in these roles, whether it's safety, slot, or whatever. Darnell Savage, who came over, played last one, but man, instinctive, aware, great athleticism and speed. Kind of has some different traits that you just didn't know that he had when you watched him in Green Bay. He is one to keep an eye on. Antonio Johnson, who came on a little bit late last year, another playmaker guy who's naturally suited to play that star position, but he can play in the deep half. You can always kind of give guys different roles versus different personnel to kind of see who's in the best spot to flourish and thrive. It'd be one of those things that you want to keep an eye on. You want to watch how the development goes over the course of the week, and then kind of see what this team looks like when they run out in the stadium. I love the fact that they are really good on offense and defense. I think the kicking game could be a separator. Cam Little being able to nail kicks from anywhere on the field. That distance changes the way that you call plays as an offensive coordinator. If you know that every time you get to the 35-yard line of the opponent, you're in the scoring zone, changes how you call plays. More aggression, less aggression. But if I get to the 35, I got points on the board. Man, that's a huge advantage, and that's one that the Jaguars believe they have now. Logan Cook continue to be one of the best at flipping the field, directional punting, pinning people down in the coffin corner. Few can do it like he does it, which is why, look, man, at some point this dude got to get some all-star recognition for the stuff that he has done or continues to do. Finally, I think it's really important as we're looking to the team and looking ahead to what could take place down in South Florida. Look, leadership is going to be everything. And the team recently released their captain. They talked about who are the guys that they look up to. And I think some of this stuff is telling. So the captains are as follows: quarterback Trevor Lawrence, tight end Evan Ingram, defensive end Josh Hines-Allen, linebacker Foye Oluokun, and then punter Logan Cook. And one of the things that Doug wants to do is he wants to have a rotating captain in addition to the 5 permanent captains. And this gives other guys an opportunity to kind of move into that leadership role as they see fit over the course of the season. So, for instance, like the Cleveland game, you can tag somebody who either has Ohio ties or someone's been playing really well, give them an opportunity to go out to coin toss with the 5 captains. But in the 5 captains, the 5 heartbeats, as I call them, look, man, I think there's some common traits when I look at these guys, and I can see why they are the unquestioned leaders of the team. Trevor Lawrence, we talk about franchise quarterback, talking about the talent, talking about the production. I'll say the reason why he is the captain is because of the preparation, the process, and the leadership that he exudes whenever he's in the building. This is a dude who's been anointed QB1 from the time he was a teenager, and he's lived up to the hype every step of the way. And even though people are slinging arrows at him right now and trying to put these blind resumes out there where they compare him to Daniel Jones and those things, I think the people that have been around the program understand and respect what Trevor Lawrence does, how he's grown, and how the expectation is how he would continue to grow as QB1 for this team. Really done a lot of things the right way. And talking to him, he's more comfortable speaking up, more comfortable holding guys accountable. That's a huge, huge deal when it comes to the locker room policing itself, which is why number 16 had to be a captain. Evan Ingram being a captain, one of the things that stands out to me, he is always available to do anything and everything that's needed to be done for the team. On the field, if you watch practice, he's the first one out there. He has a routine that is, look, man, it is diligent. It is very meticulous. It is one that readies him to not only practice at a high level each week, but play at a high level. You watch this guy, man, he's the pro's pro when it comes to getting ready. And I just think guys can look to him to set the blueprint for how to build out a nice career as a player. This dude is a worker bee like no other, but he also fits the profile when I talk about good dude, great character, great performance on the field. Those are the type of guys that Shotgun wants in the building. And it's also the type of guys, if you're Doug Peterson, that you want to lead the team. Josh Hines-Allen, man, this is going to be redundant because the same thing I say for the previous 2, you can say for Josh Hines-Allen. Consummate professional. This dude carries himself like a pro, always talks about the team, right attitude, egoless guy when it comes to willing to sacrifice whatever to help his teammates get better. Just a worker bee who wants to win and wants to do whatever it takes to win. I think he's wired the right way. He's motivated, and that motivation not only comes from him wanting to be a high-end player that could vie for Defensive Player of the Year honors, but more so, man, he wants to play for a dominant team that really maximizes their potential as a team that, look, not only should have an elite offense, but has the pieces in place to be really elite defensively he is the guy that kind of gets it started. Last year, 17 and a half sacks. The production goes with the preparation and the performance, which is why he's a natural leader. Expect him to be more vocal about some of those things. I would say Foye Oluokun. Look, man, don't let the smooth taste fool you when it comes to Foye and his Yale pedigree, which you certainly respect as an intellectual. He has some dog in him. And every good team has a handful of dudes that kind of have that, hey, man, you don't want to go into a back alley with those guys. He has some of that dog in him that you like and appreciate. And when you watch him play, he plays with that aggressiveness and that feistiness that is essential to be in a championship team. He has that. Production speaks for itself. He's always near the top of the charts when it comes to tackles. I can tell you, field level, he is the one that is the traffic cop, gets everyone lined up, does the things that are needed to be done to lead the team. Love it. He deserves to have the C on his chest because he does so much for this team, keeps him in line. He is the green dot guy, which means he's the communicator. You see it because, man, he's always communicating about scheme, what is to come, what needs to be done to get it right. He's perfect. And then the final guy that earned a C on his chest, that would be Logan Cook. I would say the underrated punter, but he is a master when it comes to directional kicking. But I would say when you watch him, it's so much more that he does in terms of behind the scenes, talking to players, getting his unit right, the third phase of the game. He does a lot, holds guys accountable, does a really good job of performing to the level of expectation. And when you're a performer, it's easier for people to buy into what it is that you do. But I can say this, man, when you watch him work, meticulous when it comes to the approach, the preparation, the process, and the way that it produces great results. You love it, you respect it, and you want your young guys to emulate it, which is why I think, man, for all five of these guys, they're very worthy of wearing the C on the chest. So hats off to them for the captains, because ultimately your team goes as your leaders go. I think the Jags are in good hand with the five that they've named captains to lead this team. So that's a little tasty cake. That's a little part of the process. You know, we can talk about the team getting ready over the next 2 days. We're going to have a couple more podcasts that we're doing. I'm going to join Greg Camarillo, longtime Dolphin who does stuff on, Bleav in Dolphins. We'll talk to him about Perfectville and the podcast, and we'll kind of scrimmage out the game. And I'll tell him point blank, like why the Jaguars should knock off the Dolphins on the road. I'm sure he'll have some counter comments when it comes to that. So that should be fun. And then Friday, I want to do a little thing where we really preview the game. I want to kind of take you guys behind the scene, and I want to share with you a scouting report that I would utilize if I was getting ready to play, not only as a player, but as a front office exec, like how I would get ready to play this Miami Dolphin team. Who are the guys that you need to watch, the matchups to watch, why the Jags will win, why the Dolphins could win if things go a certain way. So we want to talk about all of that over the next two pods. Should be a lot of fun. Until then, make sure you rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you tell a friend to join the village. Beginning to get some traction when it comes to guys picking up and listening and those things. Let's keep it going, man. It's a lot of fun to share some of the insights and some of the, I would say, the nuggets that sometimes they share with me in the building to the masses. So I want to continue to do that. Make sure you check out some of my colleagues on Bleav Network, all things on YouTube, Fubo, all of this stuff. Got great content that we're putting up. We want to continue to grow and expand the network as we're trying to keep everybody up to date on their favorite teams. Until next time, I'm Bucky Brooks. This is Bleav in Jaguars. I'm out.